Hey everybody, and welcome to Sports Weekly. My name is Seth Hagen. I'll be your host for the evening, and thank you for joining us right here on the Alabama Cable Network. You can catch us on channel 16 or 80 or online at alabamacablenetwork.com. So it's been an interesting week the last couple weeks, and the madness of March has begun. So it's going to be an incredible month. I can't wait. It's been one of the more unpredictable seasons that you can easily say in the last decade or so in college basketball. Nobody really has a true advantage going in. Some people think Kansas, some people think North Carolina. Honestly, anyone could fall from the top. And if you're thinking about maybe trusting Villanova, just don't do that. Just don't do that. I did that last year. Still kind of smarting from that, so we'll leave that alone. But the biggest story of the day, unquestionably, before we get to all the madness of March, was the retirement of one Peyton Manning. Now, Peyton Manning, me personally, is my favorite quarterback of all time. The guy is, to me, he's untouchable. He has the most career passing yards, touchdowns, career wins, postseason wins. He now has 2 Super Bowl rings, 5 MVP trophies. He won Comeback Player of the Year, SI Sportsman of the Year. In 2013, he won like 4 of those things that I just mentioned all in that same year. So the guy is just, he's incredible. He's a class act. He's probably the best spokesperson for any company ever, because he never screws up and makes you fire him, basically. So I just want to talk about Peyton Manning for a little bit, because me personally, I think he's the greatest of all time. I didn't get to see Johnny Unitas play. I didn't get to see Joe Montana play. I saw Brett Favre play for the latter half of his career. Most of the time it was pandering to off-season teams to put him back on the roster or convince him he had one last chance. But Peyton, he has never really needed to convince people that he was the greatest. The guy is incredible. I just want to read off some stats to you guys. I mean, it's really eye-popping what the man from Tennessee has done over his career. And to think, he never won an SEC championship. Never. Got very close, but just was never able to pull it off. So pretty incredible stuff. But I want to read off some things to you guys. Almost 72,000 yards. That's like halfway to the moon. I mean, think about that. 18 seasons, 2 of which he was badly injured, dealing with neck injuries. This past year and the year before, we all know that he wasn't at his best. So, I mean, just think about where that could be. I mean, I'm not sure that that's a record that's ever going to be broken. Records were made to be broken, but, I mean, 72 yards is pretty steep. Tom Brady better hope that he can stay healthy to top that one. 539 touchdown passes. As a guy who has never thrown a single touchdown pass at any level other than backyard football to my little brother, let me just tell you, that's just something that, I mean, that's just going to hang up there forever. 55 touchdowns in a single season? Who's going to be able to do that? Who's going to be even able to touch that record? I mean, think about that. You're going to have to throw 3 to 4 touchdowns every game, every single game of the season, and somehow avoid a bunch of 350-pound dudes trying to rip your whole head off. Because let me tell you something. When you get to the height where Peyton Manning is, where Tom Brady is, where Aaron Rodgers is, you're going to get everyone's best shot. And if you think that people weren't headhunting for Peyton the last couple of years to be that guy that took Peyton out, the guy that could take Brady out, you're wrong. Trust me. It's insane what this guy has been able to do. 251 interceptions, not as cool, not as cool of a stat, but I mean, when you think about it, that's basically 2 touchdowns to every interception for an 18-season career. I think it's honestly, it's ironic that he retired after 18 seasons. The number on his jersey, he thought it was crazy watching his retirement speech today. It was really sad. I almost teared up a little bit. The guy half cried basically the whole time, and I was really feeling for him because, I mean, this guy has been the height of football for almost 2 decades. You can say Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that. Let me tell you something. Tom Brady actually played with some defenses. He had Bill Belichick, probably the greatest coach of all time, coaching him this entire career. He was a 6th-round pick. Obviously, wasn't too much coming out of college, and he just turned into a really great guy in the system. Peyton Manning has never needed a system to be a great quarterback. Let me tell you, I once watched this guy change the play 4 times before the ball was snapped. Think about that. You got a 40-second play clock. Usually Peyton Manning has been in a no huddle because, honestly, the guy doesn't need a huddle. He's his own offensive coordinator. I always like to say that basically the easiest job in America is being Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator because you really don't need to tell him anything. The guy he's a football factory up here, folks. I mean, we're really witnessing the end of an era, and I don't think people fully appreciate Peyton because of his postseason record. Give me a break. We just saw in the Super Bowl what you need to win the Super Bowl, to win a championship. You need a top-end defense. You need somebody like Von Miller getting you turnovers. You need somebody like DeMarcus Ware coming off the edge and ripping the quarterback down. Peyton Manning was the MVP, runaway MVP. How many touchdowns did he score in that Super Bowl? I'll wait. Okay? Peyton Manning is just, to me, he's the greatest of all time. Joe Montana, spotless postseason record. Steve Young, spotless postseason record. You got guys like John Elway. You got guys like Terry Bradshaw, who won multiple championships with the Steelers. But I would submit to you that all those guys played with a top-end defense. What did Peyton Manning have? Dwight Freeney for like 4 years? Robert Mathis from Alabama A&M, or was it Troy? I can't remember. Either way, it was a small school in Alabama that no one knew about. And Peyton Manning took these guys to the top. Marvin Harrison is not considered by anyone to be a top receiver. Demaryius Thomas, not considered by anyone to be a top receiver. Pierre Garçon, the list goes on. This guy has made a superstar of so many people, including running backs. I mean, Edgerrin James owes his entire career to Peyton Manning. How do you think all those big holes open up? Everyone's pretty worried about Peyton Manning, the 5-time league MVP. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, it's almost sickening to me how some people just don't respect this guy. They don't appreciate what he's given to this league for 18 years, 18 seasons, really 19 because, as you recall, he was out for an entire season a few years ago and then came back to throw 55 touchdowns and win the MVP and the Comeback Player of the Year. When does the Comeback Player of the Year ever win the MVP? I'll wait on that too. A few more stats I want to throw out to you guys. 65% completion percentage for an entire career. That's with throwing 60% his very last year. So didn't bring it down very much. The previous 3 seasons before that, he had thrown for 68% consecutively. And who is this guy throwing to? He's throwing to Demaryius Thomas. He's throwing to guys that he's basically making superstars. And he's not a system quarterback at the same time. It's just incredible to watch Peyton, and I'm gonna miss the guy. To me, it's like it's almost like Jordan. Almost. Don't freak out on me. It's not Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was perfect at everything, as we all know. But Peyton Manning, this guy was as close to a robot as you're gonna get. Like, I mean, you got the Fox Sports robots, and then you got Peyton Manning. It's basically the same thing. This guy is incredible and easily has been at the top of the game for so long. Again, people like to throw Tom Brady out there because of the postseason record, because of the titles. Let's be real here. Tom Brady is a product of Bill Belichick's system, who has spawned countless coaches, players, what have you. You ever heard of Nick Saban? Yeah, Bill Belichick taught him everything he knows. So what do you think he taught Tom Brady? Pretty much how to be successful. And when you think about the defenses that play on some of those early Patriot teams, it's pretty incredible to think. Several times Tom Brady has gone into the Super Bowl and gotten punked. Plenty of times Peyton Manning has gone to the Super Bowl and gotten punked. It's obvious that a top defense is what you need. But as far as quarterbacks are concerned, To me, there's nobody better. There's absolutely no one better than Peyton Manning. And, I mean, I'll be waiting to see who can top him. Aaron Rodgers has a slight chance, but even him now, you have to think he's kind of declining. And and you're looking at it right now, that Packers defense has let him down now several years in a row. You need a top-tier defense to get to the top. That's what it is, and that's what it'll always be. How do you think Lovie Smith took the Chicago Bears to the Super Bowl? That defense. It wasn't Rex Grossman, certainly. Think about it. Now, and think where Lovie Smith is now. Just announced that he'll be the head coach of Illinois. Illinois. Less than a decade from being in the Super Bowl. He's now coaching the Illini. That's ridiculous. When has that ever happened? In the history of sports, when you win a championship at the highest level in pro sports, you get to just the highest level. And then 10 years later, you find yourself coaching not even a top-tier Big 10 team, Big 13 team, whatever they are now. Think about it. It's absolutely incredible what Peyton Manning has been able to do. And when you think about those first 17 seasons, the absolute picture of consistency, 16 games started, all 17 first seasons. He didn't miss a game until this season. The guy is an Iron Man, an incredible, incredible talent that will be missed for years. I just don't know who's going to take his place, man. The guy absolutely revolutionized the NFL and basically turned it into a passing league when you think about it. So that's it for me on Peyton Manning. Some more things to look forward to the next few segments of the show. We're going to be talking about the SEC basketball tournament that gets started this Wednesday night on the SEC network, of course. And the Conference USA tournament where our UAB Blazers are the #1 seed. We'll talk about that coming up. We'll also talk about a certain Duke Williams showing up at Auburn's A-Day. Did he deserve to be there? We'll find out. So y'all stick around. We'll be back with more Sports Weekly here in just a moment.
Moe's Original Barbecue, where you'll find award-winning Bama-style pulled pork, racks of ribs, and chicken smoked fresh daily over hardwood, served with 2 unique sauces, plus 8 to 10 traditional sides and tasty desserts. Moe's opens daily at 11 a.m., serving lunch and dinner until it's all gone. There's also a full premium bar with plenty of TVs for sports viewing and live music. Moe's Original Barbecue offers large party takeout orders, catering, and delivery. Moe's Barbecue, a unique all-things Southern barbecue experience.
At Premier Bank, you have a financial partner you can depend on. Hi, I'm Jay Mullins, president of Premier Bank, with some exciting news about our financial strength and performance. For the 6th consecutive year, our bank has been rated 5 stars by Bauer Financial, an independent firm that has been analyzing and reporting on the financial condition of the nation's banking industry since 1983. This prestigious rating means that we are one of the strongest banks in the nation, and a safe and sound bank you can depend on.
The 2016 Fiat 500X has arrived, and it's ready to drive at Fiat of Huntsville. This perfectly bold crossover is impressively equipped with a turbocharged engine, seating for 5, available all-wheel drive, and just $249 a month or $4,000 off. Plus, you get customizable amenities like 5 different trim levels to perfectly match your style. Come experience the all-new Fiat 500X at Fiat of Huntsville or online at fiatusaofhuntsville.com, a Frank Williams dealership.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Sports Weekly. My name is Seth Hagen. I'll be your host for this week. Maybe a few more weeks. We'll see how it goes. But I'm here solo today and coming to you live from Moe's Barbecue right here in Coleman, Alabama. Make sure you stop by here, pick up a few things. Really good barbecue here, cornbread, wings, some good stuff, man. I am personally very hungry. I had like a granola bar earlier. Didn't really do the trick. It's all good. I'll be okay. But if you would like to come down and like maybe throw a few rib bones my way, I wouldn't say no. All right, let's get to the madness of March, shall we? Because 'tis the season. It's March 7th. We got the SEC basketball tournament coming up here in just a little bit on Wednesday, starting off with Auburn and Tennessee on the SEC network coming up at 7 o'clock Central Time there on the network. Auburn, Tennessee. You got Bruce Pearl going against his former team. Storylines aplenty. Really only 8 players for Auburn playing right now, playing with a very thinned down roster. It's really been a tough year for the Tigers, coming down with multiple injuries to TJ Dunnins, a bunch of head cases. You got Simeon Bowers, who was suspended for a little bit. You had just a really tumultuous year, a bunch of injuries. Todd Shamsuddin went down before the season even started. Daniel Purifoy, a very highly touted freshman, was not able to play because of his ACT scores. He'll be back next year, and look out for Auburn next year. I really think they'll be a top 5 SEC squad next year when they get everything put together and get some depth behind them. But it's just going to be a tough year. Tennessee smashed them about a month ago. I was personally watching it. That was really the low point of Auburn's season. They got absolutely clobbered in Knoxville. I wouldn't say I'm going to bet on them to win that very first round, even though you got to remember, Auburn was that little kind of semi-Cinderella team in the SEC tournament, won 3 games in a row, beat LSU, who was a top 5 seed in the SEC at the time. And now LSU looking at a number 4 seed, so it's not too bad. They do get a bye for those first 2 rounds, but when you look at their record and how they're doing as far as the bubble teams, they're really on the outside looking in. They really need to make a run at the very least to the semifinals of the SEC tournament, if not the finals. Here and down the stretch, they've really disappointed people. And if you've got the number 1 player in the country in Ben Simmons, who unfortunately, you might have heard this past week, will not be recognized as the top player. He's not eligible for the Naismith Award or the John Wooden Award. And that's due to his GPA. That's something that LSU self-reported. And honestly, that was pretty surprising when you think about it. And yet, is it really surprising? Because you got a guy who's basically there for a semester and a half. After the month of March, he won't be coming back to LSU. Let's be real. The guy was here. He's hired help, basically, without the money. You give him a free semester of college, free 6 weeks after that, and now he's gone. LSU. And, I mean, when's the last time a number 1 pick didn't even make the SEC tournament? Probably when the NBA allowed you to come out of high school as a freshman. Probably LeBron James was probably the last number 1 guy who didn't make the SEC tournament, the NCAA tournament, and for obvious reasons. He didn't really play in college. But let's take a look at some of the matchups. You got Arkansas and Florida, that very first game at noon on Thursday, March 10th. That's coming up this week. I really look to Florida to win that game. Arkansas has been very inconsistent all year. They've taken upsets to teams like they shouldn't have, like Mississippi State, Auburn, just losses that did not look very good. So I'm looking for Florida to move on and play the number 1 Texas A&M Aggies, who, by the way, have gotten their very first number 1 seed ever in the SEC basketball tournament. So kudos to them. The Auburn-Tennessee winner will play Vanderbilt. Again, I'm very much looking forward to that game, but I think Vanderbilt will win easily. They got a great front court. Their center, I personally watched him almost get a triple-double against Auburn. The guy had, I believe, 9 blocks, 15 rebounds, and 11 points. He's just lights out, and to me, they are the best three-point shooting team in the entire SEC. And if you look at where the game's going, it's all going to three-point shots, and Steph Curry is seeing to that. After that, looking at Alabama Ole Miss, that tips off at 6 o'clock Central Time on the SEC Network. The first 9 games will be on the SEC Network, so make sure you have that if you need it and you want to watch the games. The semis and the championship will be carried exclusively on ESPN. I'm looking the Alabama Ole Miss game. That could be very tricky. Ole Miss is very hot and cold, but they've got one of the best players in the world in the league easily. Their point guard is lights out. He's a great player. So Alabama may have a chance there, but they've really struggled down the stretch. They've lost to Arkansas, lost to Mississippi State. Again, just really bad losses, and they've really put themselves out of the NCAA tournament. And if you told me that about 3 weeks ago, I'd have been really shocked, because they beat Florida, they beat LSU, they played very closely with Kentucky, and so I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed and surprised, but it's certainly a fantastic first year for Avery Johnson. The guy has been a great coach, and that's something that I really didn't see coming in. I mean, with all that NBA experience, of course he knows the game, but can you recruit? And he came in and instantly recruited well. He's got a very good class coming in for next year, and I expect him to make a couple of NCAA tournaments before it's all said and done. And by the way, what me and Randy mentioned last week, the guy is 4-3 against top 25 ranked teams. The previous 4 seasons, Alabama did not have a single win against top 25 teams. It's just not something that Anthony Grant could give them. And so I'll give Alabama a bit of a chance, but I really think Ole Miss is going to take that one. Again, that one tips off at 6 o'clock Central Time. Then you're looking at Mississippi State, Georgia. Now, Mississippi State, Ben Howland's got them playing very well here down the stretch. You're looking at a team that started off the season abysmally. They were awful. They were in the bottom 2 of the league, until maybe 3-4 weeks ago. But they have completely come back. Like I said, they beat Alabama, beat some teams that they weren't supposed to, beat Arkansas, beat Vanderbilt, who, to me, I mean, when you look at the SEC and how topsy-turvy it's been the whole time, they could win the whole thing, in my personal opinion, at the number 5 seed. And then you're looking at Texas A&M, LSU, Kentucky, and South Carolina finishing out. South Carolina started out the season, as we all know, undefeated through more than 20 games. Not the best schedule in the world, which is why they didn't get a lot of respect as far as the top 25 rankings are concerned, but still a very good team. Frank Martin has completely revolutionized that entire program. They were garbage, straight garbage, before he got there. And I mean, some people think they're still garbage, but I think that they could play very well and certainly would be favored in a matchup against Georgia or Mississippi State. Now, when you look at Kentucky, very, very dangerous team. Tyler Ulis, Labissiere, guys like that have really come through here in the last few weeks of the season, and they have been playing very well. Took that loss to Texas A&M that knocked them out of that number 1 spot, but, I mean, you can't really knock them for that. Texas A&M has been probably the most consistent team in the league all year. Been playing very well. One of only 2 SEC teams to win in that SEC Big 12 Challenge as well. So when you look at the NCAA tournament and their potential there, I could see them getting to the Sweet 16 and perhaps the Elite 8. But we'll see what happens. Now looking a little bit forward outside the SEC. Our UAB Blazers are the number 1 seed in the Conference USA tournament coming up. It's going to be a great tournament. I'm going to personally be there for the Conference USA Women's Tournament there in Bartow Arena, and you can check out the Conference USA Men's Tournament at Legacy Arena there at the BJCC in Birmingham. I think it's going to be a great tournament, not necessarily because the conference is great, but there's a lot of parity in that conference. But fortunately, our Blazers have been far and ahead the best team in the entire conference all year, coming in with I believe a 15-2 conference record. So they are playing fantastic. Jared Haas really has that team playing top-notch basketball here in his 4th or 5th year, and you can't be anything but impressed. The guy has been undefeated the entire time in Birmingham, going back to the middle of last season. The guys are playing incredible right now. Love guys like Robert Brown, guys like Coakley. They've got great height, great shot blocking ability. Nick Norton is a top-notch point guard that does not turn the ball over and a very good three-point shooter at the same time. So I'm loving the Blazers to get straight through that Conference USA tournament. Not going to say it's a given. Not going to say it's guaranteed by any stretch. Like I said, there's a lot of parity in this league. But Conference USA I think you always have to look out for that team. And, of course, UAB, I certainly love them going into March because they could easily be a good 6 or 7 seed with their good record. I think they only have about 5 losses on the entire season. And so when you consider that they are a #1 seed, won the regular season and their conference tournaments, I'm assuming that they'll win the conference tournament, but with that in mind, you got to think that they'll have a very good seed, and with that, I mean, they'll be favored to win they'll have the high seed for the first round matchup. We already know that they can compete with the Iowa States of this world and some of the better teams, and I would look for them to really kind of take advantage of that experience from last year. There's nothing like being in the tournament, winning, and having all those guys coming back. It's going to be a really good run for them, and really rooting for Jared Hass's team. Alabama and Auburn doesn't look like they're going to get too much postseason glory, but look for Alabama in the NIT. They can still be a very, very good team, and people forget that just a few years ago, they had a very nice run. They were a #1 seed in the NIT tournament. So I would look for them to get a top 3 seed in that one as well. All right, folks, we're going to take a short break here in a little bit. Coming up on the show, we're going to talk a little bit more about some March Madness basketball. Duke Williams was at Auburn's Pro Day. Gus Malzahn let him back on the field. Was that right? Was it a good decision considering how this past season went and Duke's behavior? I don't know. We'll find out. So everybody make sure you stay tuned. We'll be right back with more here on Sports Weekly. Stick around.
Moe's Original Barbecue, where you'll find award-winning Bama-style pulled pork, racks of ribs, and chicken smoked fresh daily over hardwood, served with 2 unique sauces, plus 8 to 10 traditional sides and tasty desserts. Moe's opens daily at 11 a.m., serving lunch and dinner until it's all gone. There's also a full premium bar with plenty of TVs for sports viewing and live music. Moe's Original Barbecue offers large party takeout orders, catering, and delivery. Moe's Barbecue, a unique all-things Southern barbecue experience.
The 2016 Fiat 500X has arrived, and it's ready to drive at Fiat of Huntsville. This perfectly bold crossover is impressively equipped with a turbocharged engine, seating for 5, available all-wheel drive, and just $249 a month or $4,000 off. Plus, you get customizable amenities like 5 different trim levels to perfectly match your style. Come experience the all-new Fiat 500X at Fiat of Huntsville or online at fiatusaofhuntsville.com, a Frank Williams dealership.
My grandfather became a jeweler in 1944. My father opened Ed White Jewelers in 1961, and now I'm a 3rd-generation jeweler. Offering a wide variety of engagement rings and a large selection of loose diamonds, plus anniversary and baby gifts have kept our customers coming back for generations. So shop where your grandmother shopped. She loved our quality, and you will too. Shop Ed White Jewelers for the good stuff.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Sports Weekly. I'm your host Seth Hagen. Thanks for joining us here. We are live at Moe's Barbecue here in Coleman, Alabama, and the smells are killing me right now. I seriously need some barbecue now. But thanks for coming back to the program. If you just now tuned in, we've been talking about Peyton Manning. Of course, that was the biggest news of the day, his retirement. If you were tuning in, you know that I think the guy's the greatest of all time. I didn't watch Montana. I wasn't there for Johnny Unitas, but the guy is just, I mean, come on. Peyton Manning is the greatest. I'm just, you can debate me. Holler at me on Twitter. I'm on there. You can hit me up at sh_spread975. And I don't know, just tweet me your questions. I'd love to hear them. We're live here on the show, so if you send me something right now, I could probably get back to you before we're done here. But we'll check it out. But right now, I really want to talk about Auburn's Pro Day, more specifically about one Da'Keil Williams. You may know him as Duke, or Duke. That's how they say it in Auburn. Anyway, basically, let's recap the season. Duke Williams was kicked off the team in October after punching his teammate in the face, breaking his jaw. He was suspended for the Outback Bowl after the 2014 season. There were rumors of him leaving the school, several angry tweets sent out. Damian Craig then told us everything was Gucci, and then Damian Craig left. So it's like, who can you really believe on this? And you really have to look at Gus Malzahn, and just me personally, and I've said this on a few forums today, I think the guy might be a little too nice. I mean, Gus, this guy basically puts you on the hot seat. Your offense struggled the entire year because you couldn't find a good receiver to stretch the field. Therefore, teams knew that you were running the ball. That's why Javon Robinson could never get started. That's why Peyton Barber could never get started. And now Peyton Barber is so convinced that he's not going to have a good season next year, he jumped to the NFL draft. Now, we all know this story about his mother being homeless, and that's a terrible situation in and of itself. But you got to think, his prospects were looking pretty good going into this season. Could have been a nice two-headed monster with Javon Robinson, but completely just left out. And you got to wonder why that is. I mean, to me, I just think it's a bad decision to let Duke Williams back in. He completely, I'm not going to say he was the only reason for the team's struggles, but he was a huge distraction. And we all know how just a couple of players can really poison the whole barrel of apples. I mean, look, we're talking about a guy who had the best hands on the team by far, maybe in the country, was the #1 receiver on Mel Kiper's draft board before the college football season started. And he single-handedly not only destroyed his draft stock, but single-handedly destroyed Auburn's preseason top 10 ranking, their preseason SEC title hopes. The media picked him to win the championship with the addition of Will Muschamp's defense. When you look at the defense, they completely turned everything around, only allowed 2 teams to score above 30 points. You might remember Auburn let 7 consecutive opponents in the 2014 season score 30 points on them. So they completely switched that around. So you're thinking all you need is some good offense. Well, when Duke Williams is really your only top-tier receiver after Sammy Coates left prematurely, and to me that was also a bad decision because, hey, he caught 1 pass for the Steelers. Not that good. Did catch 2 passes, though, against the Denver Broncos, the eventual Super Bowl champions, so I'll give him that. But when you consider that you could have gone for another 1,000-yard season at Auburn and helped your team, I mean, to me, you could have been a potential #1 pick. And so was Duke. But now, due to his, lack of any type of sense, the guy has almost completely destroyed his draft stock. He'll probably be an undrafted free agent. I don't think he will, because I think someone is going to give him a chance. I don't know who it is. Bill Belichick was at Auburn's pro day, which surprised the heck out of me. I don't think I've ever seen him there. So I don't know if he's looking to get a steal with Duke. I don't know if he's looking at Sean. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that. But to me, if I'm talking to Gus Malzahn, I'm thinking, Gus, this guy destroyed your offense, destroyed the chemistry there. The confidence of your quarterbacks are shattered, which is the only reason why you're having to bring in a JUCO quarterback again. third time now in your tenure at Auburn, you're having to bring in a JUCO quarterback who's fast and whatnot, but who is questionable at actually throwing the ball, what the quarterback actually does. How long will these SEC defenses continue to be fooled by the zone read, by the handoff option? I don't know that it's going to continue to work in these next few years. So you're going to have to find a guy who's going to be able to throw the ball and run the ball and to be that true dual threat guy, because honestly, since Cam Newton came through, you haven't had that person. Nick Marshall could throw it a mile, but you didn't know where that ball was going, man. I mean, if he hadn't horrendously underthrown that ball against Georgia in 2013, Auburn doesn't go to the SEC championship game. Let's be honest about this. So, I mean, I just don't get it. When you think about how he was a distraction the entire offseason, how he went through the first half of the season, came in slow, sluggish, out of shape, not catching the ball. I mean, the guy went for more yards against Arkansas in the 2014 season opener than he went for in the entire 2015 season. He derailed the whole thing, smashed your backup center's jaw, which became a big problem when your starting center went out and you had to deal with a third-string center against teams like Georgia and Alabama. That was Duke Williams' fault, Gus. So, I don't know. I feel like it's just, I don't think it's a good decision. I think it sends the wrong message. What are you telling your players when a guy has basically destroyed your locker room, destroyed your SEC championship hopes? These guys were coming in thinking that they were going to at least compete for an SEC championship, and they didn't even and they ended up competing for the bottom seed in the SEC West. When's the last time that happened? It's been a while. And then Duke Williams comes in off his horrendous NFL Combine, running a 4.72 in his 40, which may be fast for me. Might be fast for that guy over there. But yeah, let me tell you something. In the NFL realm, when you get to be a top tier wide receiver, and you're 6'2", with a stride like that, 4.72 is moving like a rock, basically. Got a 30-inch vertical, got great hands, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got on his knees and begged Gus Malzahn for a second chance. As bad as that NFL Combine went, and today didn't do much better. Ran a 4.7, 0.02 of a second better. He stood to gain everything. What does Gus Malzahn stand to gain with his team after you let a guy who was a cancer to your team come back and use Auburn again as a springboard for the NFL? And a guy that may not even get drafted. I mean, all of the risk is on Gus Malzahn. And now you look at Gus Malzahn, I personally don't think he's on the hot seat, but everybody else does. And it doesn't matter what I think. If public pressure starts knocking on Jay Jacobs' door, don't think that Auburn won't use some of that buyout money. Won't use some of that new Fox Sports South money. If you didn't hear about that, Auburn signed a $120 million decade-long contract with Fox Sports to handle their radio broadcasts and things like that. So I guess, you paid off Gene Chizik by now, and you paid off, well, did you pay Will Muschamp? I don't know, but you're probably still paying Ellis Johnson too. So I don't know. I just think it's a bad decision overall to bring him back in. Everybody deserves a second chance. Some people deserve a third chance, but Duke Williams is on his 37th chance by now. Come on. Gus, what did you stand to gain by letting this guy in? He destroyed your season, almost single-handedly put you on the hot seat. Oh, yeah, sure. Come to Pro Day, Duke. Up your stock. Just not sure I'm just not sure what the positives are there. I mean, it shows that he has great character, that he's willing to forgive. But honestly, It looks soft, and you got to think. Your backup center is still on that team. Xavier Dampier is still on that team. Guys who Duke Williams fought with are still on that team. What kind of message are you sending to your players? Come on, Gus. You had one of the best seasons ever in 2013. Probably the best first season I've ever seen. Outside of, I think, Bob Stoops. I think when he won the national title in his first season. But, I mean, it's going downhill in a hurry, man. In a hurry. I mean, you went 8-5. Now you're going 7-6. What's going to happen next year? You better hope Kevin Steele holds that defense together, or it's going to be a problem. I don't see a lot of good things happening on the Plains if you're going to allow a guy like Duke Williams to come back after all the damage he did to the program. I don't know. Like I said, get at me on Twitter if you disagree. Thanks for joining us here on Charter Channel 80 and 16, or on the internet at AlabamaCableNetwork.com. Again, I'm Seth Hagen. Some things to look forward for the next part in the show. We're going to delve into a little bit of NFL free agency. Some moves have started to be made. We're also closing in on the NBA playoffs. The Warriors go down to the LA Lakers in LA in a blowout loss to probably the team that may get a number 2 or number 1 pick. And we're thinking that this team is going to break the Chicago Bulls' 72-win season record. I don't know. They better get their mind right. But we're going to get into some of that. Maybe some more March Madness. We'll kind of figure out as we go along. So everybody stick around. We'll be right back with more Sports Weekly in just a moment.
Moe's Original Barbecue, where you'll find award-winning Bama-style pulled pork, racks of ribs, and chicken smoked fresh daily over hardwood, served with 2 unique sauces, plus 8 to 10 traditional sides and tasty desserts. Moe's opens daily at 11 a.m., serving lunch and dinner until it's all gone. There's also a full premium bar with plenty of TVs for sports viewing and live music. Moe's Original Barbecue offers large party takeout orders, catering, and delivery. Moe's Barbecue, a unique all-things Southern barbecue experience.
The 2016 Fiat 500X has arrived, and it's ready to drive at Fiat of Huntsville. This perfectly bold crossover is impressively equipped with a turbocharged engine, seating for 5, available all-wheel drive, and just $249 a month or $4,000 off. Plus, you get customizable amenities like 5 different trim levels to perfectly match your style. Come experience the all-new Fiat 500X at Fiat of Huntsville or online at fiatusaofhuntsville.com, a Frank Williams dealership.
At College Tire Company, your valuable wheels are safe because our new touchless tire changer protects your wheels during tire removal and installation. The machine never touches the wheel, and the new Force Balancer Match balances your wheel and tire for a vibration-free ride. Buy virtually new name brand tires and you'll get free rotation for the life of the tire at College Tire Company. With 2 locations to serve you better. In Huntsville, call 489-7110. In Hansville, call 352-2221.
At Premier Bank, you have a financial partner you can depend on. Hi, I'm Jay Mullins, president of Premier Bank, with some exciting news about our financial strength and performance. For the 6th consecutive year, our bank has been rated 5 stars by Bauer Financial, an independent firm that has been analyzing and reporting on the financial condition of the nation's banking industry since 1983. This prestigious rating means that we are one of the strongest banks in the nation, and a safe and sound bank you can depend on.
And welcome back to Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Seth Hagen. Thanks for joining us. We are live from Moe's Barbecue here in Coleman, Alabama. And boy, I need some ribs. What can I say? I'm famished over here. I'm also parched. Someone give me sweet tea. Thank you for that. I didn't point at anybody. That was a lie. All right, everybody. Like I said before we went to break, I want to talk about a few moves that are being made in the NFL. The Eagles are completely clearing house after sending Chip Kelly effectively to the San Francisco 49ers. And big news here just in this area, because we have the Falcons, but we also have the Titans to the north of us. And they just signed DeMarco Murray from the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, DeMarco, Unfortunately, I put him on my fantasy team this past season. Probably wasn't the best idea because he seems to be a bit of a system guy, but if you remember, the guy went for almost 2,000 yards with the Dallas Cowboys, so still a very good running back. And if you compare him with Marcus Mariota, I think it could be a very deadly tandem. And when also you consider that the Tennessee Titans have the #1 pick in the NFL draft, things could get interesting in a hurry for the Titans because they have been drafting offensive linemen the last few years. They could go with the #1 pick with Laramie Tunsil, the first offensive tackle off the board in just about every draft board out there, to protect Marcus, to give DeMarco a nice little blocking sled to take him down the field. I mean, things could get very nice for the Titans, and I'm looking forward to it personally. One thing I do want to address really quick because I talked about Peyton Manning earlier, and obviously his retirement today was the biggest sports story of the day by far. But there were rumors, and it has now become official that Peyton Manning was actually looking to go to Los Angeles and play with the Rams. Don't believe me? Follow Adam Schefter. He knows his stuff. But I mean, that's pretty incredible when you think about it. And get this. Here's the reason. The Rams could not guarantee him a starting quarterback spot over Case Keenum. Case Keenum from Houston. You got to be kidding me. This guy got shut out against the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round. And Peyton Manning couldn't get a guaranteed starting spot over that guy. Yeesh. That should let you know something. I don't know. Man, if I'm Peyton, then I'm like, yeah, I should probably retire. If I can't get a spot over Case Keenum, I don't know. I personally thought he would have looked really good with the Texans. Or just coming back with the Broncos. Why not? He proved it. He could. Oh, y'all don't like that? Oh, come on. I'm just saying. With that top tier defense, I mean, he did a pretty good job of being a Nick Saban quarterback when you think about it. Yeah. Well, you know. And so, I don't know. I think he's good at if he make the game simple and he just has to, you know, throw a couple quick outlet passes, hand the ball off. I think he can still be effective at the highest level. And you know, I mean, Nick Saban would take him in Alabama. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. If you can't get in over Case Keenum, that should tell you something right there. But I don't know. Big news in the NFL. A lot of teams are coming after Robert Griffin III. Now, I'm not really sure why. He had a great first year with Washington, blah, 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 blah. But I just don't see it. I don't see it, man. Like, you're gonna take him to Dallas? He's gonna go to Dallas and back up Tony Romo for like 2-3 more years? You just heard Jerry say that he could last 4 or 5 more years, which is hilarious. I mean, the guy's broken his collarbone like 17 times, like 4,000 back surgeries, and yeah, he's gonna last 4 or 5 more years in this league. Give me a break. Give me a break. Yeah, maybe if you give him more running backs like Joseph, I got arrested 6 times this month, Randall. That's a good idea. Maybe you should have, I don't know, maybe called DeMarco Murray up and been like, hey man, sure do miss you down here. I know Tony misses handing it off to somebody who's not an idiot and can actually follow a block or two. I'm pretty sure Trent Richardson can follow a block better than Joseph Randall. So, you know, and Trent Richardson's on his like 5th chance in the NFL. That should let you know something. When you come from Alabama and you play for Nick Saban, people will give you 1,000,000 chances to get better. They'll give you 1,001 chances and 101 Dalmatians. I'm sorry. That was bad. But I'm just saying. We talked about it last week. I think Derrick Henry would do lights out in Dallas. But if you send him to, say, the Raiders or, I don't know, some team in Philadelphia maybe, I don't think he does as well. But we'll see. A couple other things. I want to talk about the the NBA playoffs for a little bit. We all know that the Warriors are looking at a 73-win season, possibly. Vegas has now lowered their odds now, though, to 32%. And, that's what happens when you lose to the Lakers, when their best player is retiring at the end of the year and is basically on a farewell tour. It's a problem. I don't know. I like D'Angelo Russell. I like Julius Randle. But, the Warriors are the best team in basketball by far. Best three-point shooting team by far. Best starting five by far. Draymond Green is getting a triple-double every third or fourth game, it seems like. Steph Curry just broke his own three-point shooting record 15 games before the season ends. That's insane. That's freaking insane. Have you seen the guy? He shoots it a mile in the air, and he just drops in every time. The guy's insane. One of the most incredible shooters I've ever seen. I've watched a lot of basketball, folks. Father was a coach. I've seen a lot of good shooters, and I'm not sure any of them are as good as Steph Curry. Right now, we're looking at the NBA playoffs, and right now, you got to look at it as it's basically a two-horse race. It's the Warriors or it's the Spurs. The Spurs are always there. They've always been there. They will forever be there as long as Greg Popovich is around, because they continue to recreate themselves and evolve and change with the times. That's what you have to do. You evolve or die in the NBA. Pretty much in pro sports overall, and that's exactly what they've done. So let's take a look at the standings. I am pretty much discrediting every team in the Eastern Conference. Oh yes, that's right, including the Cavaliers, including LeBron James. Oh my God, he's counting out LeBron James. Shut up. I don't want to hear another word about this guy. This guy takes his off day to go train in Miami with Dwayne Wade. I don't like the guy at all. He's a loser, thank you. He's a gigantic loser. He's a whiny little baby. I can't deal with LeBron James anymore. If I hear his name come out of Stephen A. Smith's mouth one more time, I'm going to lose my entire mind. And you won't see me next week. If you don't see me next week, it's because Stephen A. Smith said LeBron James' name again. I can't deal with it. It's like another championship for Alabama. I'm just like, do I have, is it lunch yet? I am. Again? I'm just saying. The Chicago Bulls have the 8th seed. Oh boy, that just makes me so happy. Why? Because they fired their head coach last year after a 3rd seed finish and after 4 consecutive 50-win seasons. And guess what? You hired Iowa State's coach, who lost to UAB in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Yeah, that's the guy that's going to get you back to the finals. It's a great idea. Now you're 31-30. How's that working out for you? How's that doing? I don't know. I think that's hilarious. And I cannot believe that the Chicago Bulls coach was not rehired somewhere else. The guy is a freaking defensive genius, and I'm just insanely mad at that and a little butthurt, and I'll take the fall for that, because I like to see teams that think they know what they're doing fall flat on their face. That's what I like to see. We're looking at Cleveland, Toronto, Boston. Really, has Butler's old head coach, already taken over the Eastern Conference? Is the Eastern Conference, are they that bad already? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Everyone agrees with me, by the way. All these fine people are here in Moe's Barbecue, here in Coleman, Alabama. Terrible. That's what I'm saying. They're awful. They're awful. I mean, anybody but LeBron James or Donald Trump. I'm just saying. But let's take a look at the Western Conference, because that's really where it gets dicey. That's where you're going to see top-notch basketball from end to end, except for the Houston Rockets. They are awful, and Dwight Howard is the worst center in the history of the NBA. This guy, I mean, if he could look at himself in the mirror while playing basketball, he would. The guy is in love with himself, and James Harden doesn't play any defense at all. He plays defense like this, and you're just not going to win, you know, unless you grow that beard and you like start like stealing balls with your beard. I don't know what you're going to do with that. Doesn't really work out in the long run. So we're looking basically at Golden State and San Antonio. I'm going to give the slight edge to the Warriors, but here's the deal here. Not many people know this that were watching last year. San Antonio didn't play Golden State in the playoffs. They did not. Greg Popovich did not get 7 games against Stephen Curry. So what you're looking at is you're basically relying on the Los Angeles Clippers to do your dirty work once again. Can they do that? It's possible. The Clippers right now are 3 games ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies for the 4th seed. And by the way, it's just incredible that the Memphis Grizzlies continue to make the playoffs without any offense whatsoever. It's truly incredible. But the Clippers at 40-21 will most likely meet the Spurs in the second round. The Spurs are always a great defensive team. Kawhi Leonard has become a superstar in this league. He's already probably the best defensive player in the league when you're looking at guards, at least. And then he's become a great scorer. They still haven't lost 10 games. Everybody's talking about the Warriors winning 55-6. The Spurs are 53-9. They're not that far off, y'all. Not that far off. Golden State. Let's take a look at their schedule going forward, because I really want to look at it. They can only lose 3 more games, folks. Chicago Bulls went 72-10 in 1996, and the Golden State Warriors are looking to break that record, go 73-9. But now that you've lost to the Lakers, your window is really shrinking here, and Vegas is taking notice. So we're looking at Orlando coming up. That's a win. Utah at home. That's a win. Honestly, this is incredible. This is absolutely stunning. The Warriors have now won the most games in a row at home ever in NBA history. It's absolutely stunning to see what they've been able to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and take every single home game that they have left on the schedule and count it as a win. It's just a de facto thing. No one's going to beat them at home. I'm sorry. There hasn't been a team this dominant at home since the '98 Utah Jazz, who went 40-2 at home. And even that team couldn't beat the Bulls. I mean, it's insane. So let's take a look at it. Orlando at home, win. Utah, win. Portland at home, win. Phoenix, New Orleans at home. New York Knicks at home. Those are all wins, right off the bat. So let's see. That's 6 wins in a row. 6 wins in a row. That would put them at 61-6. Now, at that point, you're looking for them to just win 8 more games. Now, who are the teams that could possibly win in this game? I'm not sure. There aren't too many, but they've got to go on the road 3 games in a row. They got to go to Dallas, who's playing very well at this point. They got to go on the road to Minnesota, who is also playing pretty well. And you have to go on the road to San Antonio. That is going to be a huge, huge, huge game, because San Antonio does not lose in their building very often either. Going forward, they're going to have to play at home against Boston. Not going to be easy. They're going to have to play Portland a second time. I think they may lose one of those 2 games against Portland. They're just playing on another level right now, and completely surprising that they have this 7th seed in the West after losing arguably their best player, LaMarcus Aldridge, to San Antonio in free agency. So I think they're just playing very well. You have to respect Boston and what they're doing. Brad Stevens is very nice. We're going to take a short break, y'all. We'll come right back with more March Madness here on Sports Weekly.